Please remember to turn your phones back on at the end of the class. Remember to turn it off. You got the tweets. I've lost my phone so many times I couldn't find it because I forgot to turn it back on. I couldn't.
This is inner space. We're working from the book. Working from the book.
Yeah, 140.
140.
149.
149.
Okay. So shalom. How should we do it? How should we do this?
You're on.
There's a fan on, and that's all. You can open the window. The only way that it'll stay open is to put it exactly, to move that right. Beautiful. Okay, welcome. Mincha, mincha, mincha. We ended last week. We're speaking about in the vision of Yechezkel, which was, his name is Yechazek El, Hashem strengthens, because we need, in a sense, he's going to tell us how he's going to always give us over how hard it's going to be, and he's also going to be a secret pillar of strength for us, Yechezkel, through all that he goes through. It's an amazing Navi. We haven't spoken too much about him as a person. But so we're at the point where he's having this vision. The heavens open up to him. Whether it's open eye or closed eye, that's not clear. According to our sages, it's happening in a vision. It's not happening with open eyes. Or you could say that a vision also could be happening with open eyes, and he's beginning to see things and hallucinate, right? Of things coming into his mind, into his visual field that are not there. Nobody else would be able to see them physically, but he's seeing them. So there's a kind of there's not one or the other. It's not just closed eyes, or it's not just closed eyes. It's visions that are spiritual in nature, and yet it could very well be that he's seeing them with open eyes. So on page 149. Saying that he's already said that the four elements that are represented in the Ruach Se'ara, the storm wind, Minatzafon from the north, and the Anan Gadol, the great cloud, and the Esh Mitlakachat, the flashing fire. So you have wind, wind, the cloud represents water, and the fire, air, fire, and water. And they're going to be like powerful external, they're going to be powerful stimulus on him. So in the paragraph starting towards the top, practically speaking, the three klipot of Ezekiel's vision, air, water, and fire, represent the barriers of the physical world that prevent us from perceiving the spiritual dimension. So that's what he's going to talk about for the next 25 pages, is how you break through the barriers. He's going to describe it at one point that it's like three membranes that cover over the male sexual organ, and that have to be removed and circumcision. And he's going to say almost like he's going to say that mankind has these orlas, these skins, these membranes between us and Shemaim. In order to reopen the pathway that was open to Adam and later on to Abraham, that has been covered over by coverings. So Yechezkel has to break through these three. So he says they're preventing us from perceiving the spiritual dimension. So what prophecy is all about, and for them, for the ones who experienced it, and also for us, when we know what they're communicating to us, not just in what they saw, but in actually how they felt as they saw it, is what am I going through when I'm seeing these things? A lot of noise is going to come in until they find a meaning for mincha. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So he says, someone seeking prophecy does not want anything physical affecting him. On the contrary, he wants to detach himself totally from all physical things, in this case, air, water, and fire, or the stimuli that these represent. Therefore, from the point of view of meditation, all physical things are considered klipot. Their effect must be totally nullified. So a lot of what he's saying here is very pregnant in terms of what he's about to discuss over the next few weeks in terms of the class and in terms of the book over the next few pages. So he's relating everything that Yechezkel is going to see to how meditation works, right? So he's taking a certain kav already. There are other ways to see it. Last week at the end, as I was going to say, the idea of Ruach Se'ara, and that we're in a moment in history now of Ruach Se'ara, of a storm wind coming into the world. That's very, in a sense, something that's very, very worrisome. The lies, the mentality that's creating this whirlwind that's all around us. The inability of Western civilization to deal with it, to understand how it works, how to deal with it, because Western civilization is at fault. In a state of denial, for one thing. So the Jewish people being in the middle between Yishmael and Esav, between these powerful forces, we're being called upon, being almost like being squeezed between two pillars. But we just have to put oil on ourselves, and it'll propel us upwards. You have to oil us, to give us something so we can see our way clearly and know who we are and know what we have to do. And so Rabbi Kaplan's way is what his suggestion was, and what all that I've seen in him is that the only way to move from here where we are to the end of history as we know it is to go in. There are obviously many different aspects and parts of Am Yisrael. There are the feet, there are the hands, there are the brains, and there are those who are above the brain. And we all work together. We're all part of one great tapestry. But those who are the feet have to do things. They have to manifest things in the physical world, in social reality, and in financial reality, etc. And there's the hands, and then there's the head, and then there's the emunah, the higher, the crown above. We all have to be filled with emunah down all the way to the feet. But what I'm trying to point out is that that Am Yisrael is being called upon here. So what the prophetic teachings are teaching us, are trying to help us with, is to give us a compass. How do we know what's going on? First of all, what are we supposed to do? How are we supposed to speak to the world and get them to understand? So one of the things that came to me very strong with the help of Yochanan last week, it was pretty heavy, and I was contemplating not saying it or saying it. Please forgive me if it's wrong. I don't mean, I wish everybody would wake up and we could all learn the lessons we have to learn. But there has to be a measure for measure in history. And when you've been part of the decimation of the Jewish people, and you made them into subhuman, you called them every name in the book, and that's continuing now through Ishmael, because Ishmael joined with Germany in World War II, and ever since has been spouting the same lies about us and educating and inculcating. Their whole educational system demonizes us because it comes from Nazi Germany, from Amalek. So now you're going to see, with us leaving Europe, it's going to be flooded more and more, not only with water, which is also happening, but with those who come from the Arab countries. And that's the end of a Europe. They have no idea what to do with it. So Ruach Sarah coming to the world is that within 8 years of Obama's whatever you want to call it, the world has totally changed because it's a vacuum. Everything changed. What was a threat to us is no longer a threat. New threats. And yet if we come into our spiritual power, if we come into our spiritual greatness, right, we not only can make great movies and write wonderful books and become incredible speakers for the truth, we can embody the truth in a more powerful way in our individual lives and in our national lives and in our global lives. And that's a huge thing that Hashem is putting on us. In order to do that, he has to give us great people to overcome the smallness. I personally, just my personal story, I prayed, please let me wake up from this, from the limitations of this lifetime. Each one of us has a soul. Each one of us has been here before, and besides whatever lifetimes we've had that have defined who we are, but there's something above and beyond these lifetimes. It's almost, one of my friends said, it's a string of pearls, and each pearl is a lifetime, but the string itself is who we are, and we exist before the lifetimes and we exist after the lifetimes. The essence, the core of who we are, and that doesn't get completely manifest in any one particular lifetime, but now as the final lifetime, the lifetime before the resurrection, the lifetime before the redemption, the lifetime in which everything is going to change. So the possibility exists for us to come to the greatest power, the pinnacle of our power, to the Maasef, the one who gathers all that we ever were from below and all that we ever were from above and manifests it. And of course, that's only with Hashem's help. But that's the stuff of prayer. Hashem, let us be who we are. Let us be who we are destined to be. Put that in your prayers. Because the way of the Torah is that Hashem wants it ideally to come about through human action. We'd love to lie down and let Daddy save us, but that's not really the Jewish way. It may have to happen because we're whatever, but the ideal is that great people should rise up and become embodiments of godliness. So let's try and learn from Yechezkel. He fights, he struggles not to lose it. He fights to stay centered through all that's coming at him now, because he knows where he wants to go. He knows that what's going to come from this is that on the other side of these klipot, these barriers, is going to be an experience that's going to allow him to experience God and to give over godliness to his people in the midst of the Babylonian exile. So Rabbi Kaplan, before he goes into this whole thing, he has one nice thing here about music. Many Kabbalistic texts discuss this point, that you have to nullify the physical in order to get connected to the absolute essence of your being, because there's things that are going to try and stop us, mostly being our thoughts. And we also find it explicitly mentioned in the writings of Rabbi Yitzhak Abarbanel, who also he's the one who led the Jews out of Spain on the 9th of Av in 1492, who also claims that these klipot are experiential. How does a prophet go about getting prophecy? He must clear his mind by meditating. According to the Rambam, one of the ways to do this was to play music. Listening to music could be a type of meditation, especially if it was played a certain way. Meaning to say over and over again. If you took one or two or three or four notes and played them over and over again, that in itself would be like a meditation. Which I was doing in the car on the way here. So I have this plan here to share this with you. I have 2 tapes also from old days. I bought my tape recorder. One is an actual meditation that Aryeh Kaplan is doing with his students in his home. And one is him speaking at my wife and I, our Sheva Brachot, about Ezekiel's vision of the chariot. So the day, this it's a special day, and I bought all these paraphernalia. You have to bear with me. So 3 or 4 notes over and over again. So we could do it later at the end, but in the meantime, this is what he did in his class. He started and everybody joined him. So I invite you also. And it's a kind of a little experimental. I'm going to change it as we go into it and then come back. And just kind of check out yourself as you're doing it and see how it feels. Na 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 na. This is the tune that he was using. Na 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 It's 4 and 4. Na 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 na. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2.
Down to its essence, taking away all the other distractions so you can focus on.
It's like
it's like a metronome.
It's supposed to be hypnotic. It's supposed to be not hypnosis and maybe whatever, but certainly to get us right and to open up a path for getting more connected. So if you do this, do it in a room where nobody will think that you're crazy. But it's so you see the idea over and over again. That in itself would be like a meditation. Reb Chaim Vital writes in the 4th part of Shari Kedusha, those seeking prophecy would play music until they would get into a trance, at which point the music would stop. But the music is not modern music. It's right. It's ancient instruments, usually string instruments or wind instruments that are able to blow or sound in a very special way. That right. We know that music opens up physiologically opens things up for us. So use it. Use it.
They would have to have someone with them playing live music, and it's not if you can turn on the tape.
Yeah. That's explicit verses in the Nach. Here you have page 149, footnote number 118 is music shares the same scripture source as prophecy. Therefore, it's the power to cut away and penetrate all the barriers that prevent prophecy. That's in Shari Ora, because the word Zemer, Bob Zimmerman, Bobby Zimmerman, right? Zemer is that which is zomi. It's mazmerot, pruning shears that when you prune, you're al tizmor kalmecha. You don't prune your fields in Shemitah. Tizmoret. Right? What's the connection between music and cutting and pruning? Mizmor David. What's the connection?
According to Chassidut, it's to get such off, you're cutting away all the stuff
that's already in Shari Ora. Yeah. So you're cutting away because what's preventing us from seeing Hashem in our lives is a certain perceptual or cognitive level. So seeing the Mizmorim of David in the morning in Psuka de Zimra, right? Verses of song, which are verses of cutting, which are cutting away that which is preventing me from seeing God in my life. And then there's the Menatzeach. The Menatzeach is the orchestra leader. And that's 55 psalms start with the word La Menatzeach to the orchestra leader, meaning to say in honor or dedicated to the symphony, the great maestro of the great symphony of creation. It's not just some prosaic Cohen. There's also him in the Beit HaMikdash. He's also a Menatzeach. But Hashem is the Menatzeach of the world. And why do we need to see a menatzeach? Why 55 psalms start with lemenatzeach in honor of or dedicated to the menatzeach? Because when I'm hearing the violin section practicing before the concert, and I hear the pianos and the oboes, and it's like a little bit cacophonous, and then I look at the maestro who's now with his wand in his hand, and he points to the violins, and then he points to the oboes, and he points to the pianos, and he points to the violins, and they all start to play together. So Hashem is the menatzeach who's orchestrating all of the incredible symphony of creation, and he allows us to see the oneness behind the cacophony, behind the broken sounds that we see when we don't see him. There's the best Zubin Meda. Okay, the best have always been Jews, right? No question about it. The best menatzchim. There's a certain thing that we have about us, that we're interested in, not just me, myself, and I. We're interested in everybody playing together, the whole that's greater than the sum of its parts. It's an awesome thing. So he's bringing that here into the preparations for prophecy.
Is that why also music is such a big part of the Beit HaMikdash, the service?
Yeah, the Beit HaMikdash is the place of Ruach HaKodesh and Nevuah. You go in there and you're in a different plane of existence. On the holidays, the curtain would open and you'd see, even from far away, you could see from the Mount of Olives, there's this doorway that goes straight through into the Azrat Nashim and straight through up the stairs called the Nicanor gate, and then into the Azara, and then straight through. The Mizbeach is here, and it goes straight through into the Kodesh, and into the Kodesh Kodashim. You could see from Har Zaitim with telescopic prophetic vision, and wherever you were, anywhere in there, you would be entranced and see the Kruvim embracing with each other. It's all based on prophecy. The whole thing is it's above earth, the Beit HaMikdash. We don't have it anymore, and that's one good reason why there's klipas between us and Shemayim. That Aron HaKodesh, that powerful electromagnetic force field that was created, that's the theory is that there's four forces that hold the nucleus together. And there's the gut, which is the grand unified theory. So there's the menorah and the shulchan and the mizbeach getorah. That's three. And outside is the mizbeach of the olot, and that's four forces representing the four forces that hold the nucleus together: the gravitational force, the weak force, the strong force, and the electromagnetic force. And the Aron HaKodesh is the grand unified, the thing that makes them all work. So imagine if we would have that now, and that's about to be discovered in our generation. That's all this storm wind is happening, and prophecy is coming back into the world. And we're here talking about it, but like, hello, we're outside the wall and we want to get in. The most important thing to realize, though, is that the primary means of attaining prophecy was through meditation. Prophecy did not come abruptly to someone. The prophet would have to meditate deliberately, and there were specific meditations for prophecy. And it goes into his whole thing here. How should we do this? He talks about the symbolism of Ruach Se'ara min HaTzafon. So there is, what he doesn't mention here is, first of all, just a little thing that in Tehillim it says, that Chazal, based on a certain Tehillim, say that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is medakdek im chasidav kechut ha'se'ara. Hashem is exacting with his pious ones to a hair's breadth. And it's a play on words, because the word hair's breadth is kechut ha'se'ara. Hashem is exacting. And it's based on this verse that it's something like se'ara misvivav. I don't have it, but there's a storm wind round about Hashem. And that's why it's so hard to get to him, because to a hair's breadth, he's exacting with us. So Ruach Se'ara can be, for those who need it, a storm wind that confuses them. But for those of us who are trying to get in, we center ourselves and check ourselves out and do tshuva and ask to be permitted to enter close. And that the Ruach Se'ara should welcome us. On the contrary, that it should act as a clearing away of that which is preventing us. So that just came to me very strongly. Minat Safon, he goes into a whole thing here on Safon. In page 150 in the middle paragraph. Anybody please, at any point, this is, yes, any point, yes, Chavala.
Could you back up about 30 seconds? I lost what you said about the whirlwind around Hashem. You said for those that it needs to.
Right, I want to see that there's a double action of the whirlwind. The whirlwind is what keeps me out of heaven, and the whirlwind is a strong wind that blows through my mind and clears away what's stopping me. And I can, in other words, I can accept it. That's something powerful, like Bobby Dylan, right? There's a wind blowing. Every time I used to hear that song and sing it to myself, once I was in the old city, right in front of Chabad, right at the top of the stairs leading down. That is a power spot in the world. You can sit there, you know what I'm talking about, right before you go down the stairs, right in front of the Samech Tzedek Shul. There used to be a bench there. You can sit there and see just about anybody you need to see in the whole world. They'll show up. That's how I felt about it, right? And once there was this wind that was coming in from one of the deserts, right? It was one of those famous winds, and it was blowing everything. Hashem, make your wind blow. That was my way of reading it. Hashem, make your wind blow through our minds also. Let it clear away the debris. So that's where I'm coming on that. Okay. The first klipa that the prophet has to overcome then is Ruach Se'ara, the storm wind, the hurricane. The Ruach Se'ara comes minat Safon, literally from the hidden or from the north. Because the word Safon is on the compass, Safon is north, and Safun, the same letters, is hiddenness. Both of these meanings point to the sphere of Gvura. He was so creative, I'm telling you. It's beautiful what he did here. Gevura, how did you get to Gevura all of a sudden? And how are you going to use Gevura now? What are we going to do with Gevura? Gevura is usually, Hashem, don't be so tough on me. Gevura is also me becoming strong in the process of this incredible training ground towards prophecy. So he says, Gevura, restraint, alludes to Hashem's holding back and concealing his light, in which virtually all Kabbalists associate with Safon north. The whole thing in Yirmiyahu that Veharati patah bidan Safon, and evil will come from the north, something like that. As we shall see, the double meaning of this term is significant in a number of ways with regard to Yecheskel. For example, it's clear that the storm wind and evil in general originate as a result of the withholding of his light. Right? So we're in a period in history, Hashem is withholding his light on the outside in terms of the outer world. Right? But there's an inner connection now that's possible as a result of that, so it's not a one-dimensional thing. So what's withholding of the light? It's tzimtzum. To create a world where evil could exist and freedom of choice. This is essentially an act of Gevura. He's in a sense, this is like the mind of Ari Kaplan. Like the subtitle of Inner Space, the mind of Ari Kaplan. Right? Like, where are you taking us? The point of view of someone trying to attain prophecy, evil is a barrier that must be overcome. When the prophet's mind is cleared through meditative techniques, the slightest thought is like a hurricane. I never agreed with him on this. I thought the slightest noise during meditation doesn't bother you at all because you're in meditation. That's my experience, but whatever. The slightest thought is like a hurricane that disrupts the mind and prevents him from experiencing God. In order to penetrate this klipa, therefore, and attain a perfect calm, he must turn to the tzafon, to the sphere of gvura, and discipline his own mind. Instead of jelly, right, we get iron. Right? Instead of Instead of, I don't know how to control my thoughts. They just keep coming. I have no control over them. It's like I'm at the mercy. No, I become the director, right? Who's aware of my thoughts and aware of myself thinking my thoughts. That's Gevura. That's me taking the helm of my ship.
Is that not where our rabbis taught us to just focus in on a specific emotion and what it, and the meaning of it, and that by focusing on that
Focus.
allows us to work through that whether it's thoughts or whether it's even outside noises, you can work through it.
Exactly. Yeah. It's so hard for our generation. What's the HDD? HD, ADH. I don't even know the word. I'm so HDA. What's the HDA? That's the health department association.
Then you go, what it can achieve.
But isn't there a principle of something that seems like if you overly try and discipline your mind, then it almost that is the distraction?
Okay. Good point. If you openly see, it seems that if you openly try and control your mind, the more you try and control your mind, the more you're fighting against something that can't be fought against. You're thinking.
That's what they told us to think on Hashem's name and all the things that the Shulchan Aruch tells us to think.
Okay, so that's the answer. But wait a second. The problem is that stop thinking. Stop thinking about white elephants. Stop thinking about green bears. Stop it, right? It's not going to work. So you must be aware of your thinking, not trying to control your thinking. Awareness of thinking is me being aware of my thoughts. There's a me here, and then these thoughts. And there's this river of thoughts, this stream of consciousness. And now to see some holes in it means to say, it's not just a stream. It's not just an unstoppable, unceasing. The truth is, I am not good at describing what it's like, how it's like, what the actual mechanism is, but I've experienced it enough, and that's what I hold on to. I hold on to that I am aware. First of all, I'm aware of myself thinking, which is thinking, right? And then I get into that place of awareness, and eventually the thoughts become much fewer, and there's like more space and less thought. And when there's a thought, I can put my mind on it, and I can take my mind off it. It could be that it might be impossible to stop the stream of thoughts, but I don't have to be in it. So I'm not fighting it. So that's what he's.
You're looking at it. You're objective. You're being able to step out of them and
objectively,
look at them.
right?
That's a big step. Most people identify themselves with their thoughts. So the fact that you can stop back and know that this is thinking and it's not me, you know what I'm saying? That that's the first step.
Totally. Let's talk more about this. Yes.
Okay, what you used with us now, like this kind of boring, concentrate on one.
Thanks a lot. That's
Thank you.
My voice is
Yeah,
boring.
just get what I think and feel. You give up already. Now we're the 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's repetitive. It's rhythmic. It gives you something else.
It's fooling the mind in a way. It's like counting
right.
sheep.
Right.
So there's better ways, but that's just
That's
like.
right. It was helpful.
Yeah. One way, basically, once you get the better ways, then you don't need to do the less effective. But yes, Chava.
I heard somebody say one time that, like you said, you're aware of your thoughts. You're not in them, but you're aware of them, and then you just kind of, in a way, just watch them back.
Okay, how much they can disappear we can do it.
You're not in it. You're
Yeah,
not controlling you.
for sure. Yeah.
Watching them walk through.
What Yochanan said is the mechanism of concentrating on something, not just a metronome, but concentrating on something very powerfully. There's where I'm in the detail of something. What's his name? Gutman Locks wrote a few books. One of them is called Coming Back to Earth. It's a fantastic autobiography of how he used to meditate 23 hours a day. It's amazing. But anyway, his other book is called Taming the Raging Mind. And in it, he has a thing that there's passive and that there's active meditation. Active is taking something and focusing on it and putting all of your, this is more of a Chabad thing of contemplation on a particular idea or even a particular word. Passive is the attempt to free myself from the thinking and go into a non-thinking state. Both of them are possible, are positive. This is an open field, right? Because as what do you call it? Not initiates, as starters, beginners. What's it called? Novices. As novices, right? Just learning about this. This is why I call the book Inner Space. Inner space. It's the place to explore. It be an explorer of your own inner space. Become comfortable in your own inner space. Become responsible for your own inner space.
One of the techniques I've heard is this idea of just becoming aware of God's presence when you're trying to get into a relaxed state. And when you can start feeling the presence of Hashem, it also calms the mind. You start focusing on that presence as opposed to lots of thoughts.
Definitely. I love it.
Yeah, Ron.
Yes.
I think that like the fact that you mentioned music early on, music is really an amazing vehicle for really for altering a state of consciousness and visualization, because it's expansive. It's expansive. At the same time, if you're going to be keeping to a tune or a rhythm, it is tremendous amount of gevura.
Discipline.
The effect of music is expansive, but the actual experience of playing the instrument is entirely to do with gevura. So there you have a practice where you're really exercising both things.
As a non-musician, that I only have a voice and nothing with my hands, I know it's a huge thing that you have when you, of course, when you've done concerts, you and the two of you, you've given out instruments to everybody, which is really what's unique and special, and giving everybody a chance. So they're holding these little things, and even an egg with some sand in it already. How do I do this? How do I do this? And I get my hand into a motion, into a rhythm. So beautiful. So gevura, interesting. It's teaching me the very thing that I have to overcome. It's teaching me in different ways how not only to overcome it, but to utilize it in order to get to the next stage. It's very unique to consider gevura as a part of the meditative experience. It's not just relaxing. It is. I mean, it's a lot of things. It's relaxing. It is that very much for me. But gevura here is a decision on my part not to stray. That when I come, anytime I realize that I'm not where I've been thinking, I come back. I have the gevura enough to come back to the concentration that I was doing when I was doing it. Either counting up from 1 to 10 or counting down from 10 to 1, right? And just that, right? If you lose your place, you start again. It's a gevura, that's a discipline. Because you know that what you're going for, even if you're only at the beginning steps, what you're going for is to become so concentrated, so focused, that then when you stop counting, when you stop playing the music, you stop doing anything that's monotonous, you're in that place that's above place. So once you've gotten there a few times, then all the mechanisms or methodologies for getting there become secondary. And the thing is to get to the place it almost becomes the most natural thing. And then with the Ari, if you get to the place where you're in a constant state of that, you don't have to go into it. It is there. It's at your fingertips. He goes back now to an expression that we saw in verse 3, and the hand of Hashem was upon me. The hand of Hashem was upon me. Hashem's hand always refers to the left hand. If a verse anywhere in the Tanakh wants to speak about Hashem's right hand, it uses the word yamin, right. when it uses the word yad alone, it always means left. Page 151, footnote number 126. Zohar, Ramban, Rabbeinu Bachia. Okay. Hence, Hashem's yad indicates again Gevurah, yad, left hand, restrained. In the same way, the prophet is holding back his thoughts. When one is in this highly attuned state, he has overcome the first klipa, or again, as he's used the first klipa in order as a learning tool to get to the next stage. The next stage is now he has no thoughts. He's in this incredible cloud, meaning to say, well, he gives the example of being in Mammoth Cave. In a big cave, it's just space. It's just surrounding you. It's all over. You can feel something, but it's not the same as it was a few minutes ago when it was a lot of thoughts. It's vacuousness. At this point, you have to go deeper in the meditation. You have to quiet your mind even more. What do you see then when you get rid of all internal stimuli and quiet down the mind completely? Nothing. You'll see in a minute when you hear him speak, he had a very dramatic voice when he wanted to, a very frightening nothing, an empty nothing. And also, this is another thing that you could say that I never really got it, or you could say that I actually disagree. He says, it is what you see behind your head. Now, he mentions this in Jewish meditation, seeing behind your head. It doesn't make sense to the rational mind. You have to put your eyes in back of you to look at yourself. Now, you can do that. You can imagine, it's like in a barber shop, right? You can imagine looking at the back of your head. It's a very interesting thing to do, but I don't associate it with nothing. So that's my problem. Okay. A very frightening nothing, an empty nothing. It's what you see behind your head. It might be a calming state, but on the klipa level, it is frightening. This is not plain meditation. This is one of his main things in the book. This is meditation for prophecy. Now your mind is highly sensitized and you're experiencing an intense black darkness that envelops you like a cloud. In other words, imagine being in an immense dark room like Mammoth Cave with the lights turned out. You're experiencing an acute lack of sensation, sensory deprivation amplified 1,000,000 times. We can cool it down a little bit. It's okay, sensory deprivation. We're going into a water tank. We're floating in there. And in order to do that, we're doing that in order to minimize sensory input and sensory stimuli. And after a while, you lose a sense of where you are, and it's disorienting for the rational mind, but it's very freeing for that other part of us. So again, a double imagery here of something that bothers me initially, because it's not what I was expecting, it's not what I'm used to. It's frightening in a certain way, it's disorienting, but when I get used to it, I actually like it. Next is fire. That's what he's going to talk about here is fire, so I had to get to fire. Okay. The next stage is the flashing fire. In Hebrew, this is esh mitlakachat, a very strange idea to translate. Some say that it comes down and takes itself back. Yet what is fire? Fire is a connotation of tremendous shame, the feeling that one is burning with shame. Imagine, okay, here we go. Ready? Hope the sound is okay.
Kaplan Schluter, to say a few words in Arabic.
We're in an underground room in Borough Park, 1977. Shlomo Karba, Arya Kaplan, Mayor Fund.
Recently, I had the great pleasure to meet the Chasam a few weeks ago when he came to my house. Whereas Esther, I've known for, even before she was generally known as Esther. Just thinking of her name,
Shlomo.
a few few days ago, I was looking at the Dam of a Sefer I have, Sefer Mitzvot of the Rambam. And on the Sefer Mitzvot, there's a parish called Megillat Esther. There's a commentary known as Megillat Esther. I always wonder, I use the commentary all the time, and I always wonder why he gave such a funny name. Megillat Esther.
I'm Abraham and my wife's Esther.
The other side is Megillat Esther. In fact, when I was very little, I saw somebody quote him and said, Mem Aleph, those Magen Avraham. Later I found it was Megillat Esther. So I was looking through his introduction. He says he called it Megillat Esther for two reasons. One reason in honor of his mother. Then he said Megillat means uncovering, and Esther means the hidden. He usually thinks that it's a Chassid Shabbat. And Esther is the hidden, and it is something that can be uncovered. Something that we have to understand. And Esther has been always a person that I know who's always been seeking deeper understanding of things. To uncover knowledge in Torah. We heard recently a discussion about Emet and Shalom. Emet and Shalom, Eish, Aleph Shin. We find Eish in another place. The famous Gemara, which is told that every Chatunah in Sotah Daf Yud Zayin, that if a man and woman are Zocher, they have the Shem Yud Kei among them. Ish has the letter Yud, Isha has the letter Hey. Can't go into too many of the reasons of this. We all know that Baal Shem Tov says that Yud is a Matana, the Seta Dibrot, Shebehem Nebrach Ha'alam. Hey are the five fingers of the hand that gives this Matana to us, gives this gift to us. Also the Sfarim say that Yud is the past, Hey is the future. Zachar is the one who remembers. Nekeva, no Keparim. She who pierces into the future, she who gives birth to future generations. But also the Gemara says that they're not Zachar, Eish Ochlam, fire devours them. Fire. What is fire? What is this thing called fire? What does fire mean? We find fire in two almost totally opposite places. As Dvar Hashem Shemat Metocha Eish, you heard the word of Hashem in the midst of the fire. So we see that fire is associated with the highest revelation of Hashem. Mitzvah Sheni, on the other side, we know there's Eish Gehenna, the fire of punishment. Why is fire in both places? Not going in to anything really very too much beyond shot. We find an explanation of this in the Abarbanel, beginning of Yecheskel. And in more detail, if you look at the Chamot Hashem by the Rambam, and even in greater detail in the Sefer called Otza Chaim by Yitzchak Minako. We all know that for the first pasuk in Yecheskel's vision, we saw Ruach Sa'arami Rami Nesafon. We saw a wind coming from the east, Anan Gadol, great cloud, and finally, Eish Mitlakachat. Flaming fire. Barbanel explains it like this. Of course, if you want to get one looks in the Sifrei Kabbalah, there's ample to say in it. The Barbanel explains it very simply. So the first thing that person experiences when he seeks Nevuah is a Rash Gadol. Tremendous confusion.
I had not been. Inner Space was only 2 years later. After I got married, I came to Israel and we didn't see him again. Inner Space was given to me independently. So he's talking at our Sheva Barachot about something now that Inner Space, it was incredible for me.
I becomes totally confused. It's like a storm wind is blowing through his mind. Next thing that person experiences is an Gadol. total opaqueness. Person feels nothing at all. Then finally comes the peak experience, Aish, where a person sees the most brilliant light possible. Out of this, you saw the Hashmamata Aish and Yabba Hayat. This is the same Aish that the Sfarm says, the same Aish that people saw as the Varsha Shmatmatah Aish. What's it to do with Aish again? To understand this, the Baal Shem Tov gives a very good marshal, and actually, see if I can see this, explains on Aish Daika.
How can Aish be the best, and also be the most difficult?
Once upon a time, there was a little old farmer who felt, for some reason, maybe his taxes were too big, or some other reason, he felt that he had bad feelings against the king. He can't attack the king. Little peasant. There was a beautiful statue of the king in the middle of the city. The town square. He goes over in the middle of the night and pours some defilement, the lies, all over it.
Everybody hear it? He pours on the statue of the king because he's angry at the king. Till the high taxes are too high.
The king hears about it, and the king, very wise and good king. Why don't you do this, peasant? Well, the most simple thing would be to cut off his head and part it. No. This is a wise king and a good king. So he calls his officers and says, you know, that peasant whose actions were reported to me, have him brought to the palace. Soldiers go out, the king's gonna get him.
Bring him to the palace.
Bring him to the palace. Okay, Your Majesty, what do we do with him? Give him the nicest clothes possible. Give him a job in the palace. A good job. Where he get promoted easily. The king says it is done. And the king makes sure, keeps an eye on his peasants. Little by little, he gets him promoted higher and higher until he becomes closer and closer to the inner circle of the king. Peasant starts, as he comes into the inner circle of government, he starts feeling what kind of king this is. All the things he thought the king was unfair. He's the best king in the world. This is the most wisest, kindest, most beneficent king that ever lived. I gave this to this man. This is natural. The closer he comes to the king, the more and more regret he gets.
The closer he comes to the king, the more he feels remorse for what he did. So this, the Baal Shem Tov is saying, is the Esh, that's at the same time Gehenim, is the same time the Esh of revelation. And instead of punishing us, Hashem is just going to turn up the revelation of his power and his light. And that, like it's a Gemara that he often brought, Nidarim, page 8b, when Hashem takes the sun out of its sheath, when Hashem is going to, Amar Reish Lakish, in the future, Hashem will take the sun out of its sheath, and the wicked will be burnt, cleansed, not destroyed, cleansed, and purified, and the tzaddikim will be healed. And it brings a verse of that, the wings, that the healing is in the wings of the sun. So again, the sophistication here is that there's not just a separate place where Hashem is going to send people to get punished, but he's going to bring the same light out. And depending on what we did, that's how we're going to experience the light. So that's why fire can be both the highest and the lowest, because it is the highest. But it depends on how we experience it. It depends on us.
Baal Shem Tov says the same thing is true of us. We're created. We defile the statue of the king, which is ourselves. We're doing the Lord's presence. What does Hashem do? Hashem doesn't destroy us. But Hashem brings us closer and closer to him. And the closer we come to Hashem, the more shame and the more humiliation we feel. How did we be such a terrible thing to this great and magnificent king? So indeed, the fire of Gehenna is the very, very same fire as the fire of Hashem and Shemati Techaresh. It's the fire, the big experience of realizing Hashem. And the shame is, the Gemara says in the Basra, Oy Oisa Busha, Oy Oisa Klima. It's the shame we feel for every affair we've done, everything we've done.
He's telling this to a Chatan and Kala of all things.
Ish and Isha. There's two, male and female have two names.
Man, full circle now.
Ish and Isha applies to them when man and woman reach experience. When they have this peak experience of Ish, the Shem between them. This Shem is taken out of them. The peak experience between man and woman, which is truly one of the most beautiful and fine experiences that exist in this world, just becomes the Ish that can consume. It says, I said at the very beginning, hanging a little hook on what Meir said, Eish is emes and Shalom also.
Eish is emet and Shalom. Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel.
So we be true to each other.
Be true to each other. And
Shalom
to have Shalom Bayit.
Wish you bracha, the Eish of Kedusha, emes and Shalom, all your lives.
Thank you for letting me. I've been talking about for years that I had this tape. I went to look for it today and I found it and
You should have that digitized.
digitalized.
Yeah, so you can have it on a computer.
Yeah.
Well, is it?
I have around 20 classes by him digitalized, and I can make them available to anybody who wants them. Usually.
Thank you so much.
Okay,
How
great.
old was he there? He sounds so young.
How old was he? Well, he passed away, and that was 1977. He passed away at the age of 48 in 1983. So he was 6 years younger. He was 42.
48. That's so young.
That was the other part of this. Okay.
Can I say that we spoke in the very beginning, like the flame, the flame and water and air and earth are like interfering. So I just think I remember even as a kid, like it was very touching. We used to play schlicht, and I remember hearing my mother and my grandmother that flame like instead of this shaman, it's always reaching upward. You can turn the candle upside down and it'll keep going up. And water was always Torah, she'ein bo sof mayim. So and mayim tahor and Torah is tahor. So the air and the earth I don't have, but those two I remember very vividly. And I wonder.
Air is Ruach HaKodesh.
Okay.
If you
So,
know
yeah,
a positive for each one of them,
right.
for sure.
So that they're physical, but they haven't. They're physical, but they can lead. You can understand metaphorically as a way of touching on something you might not be able to grasp without a metaphor.
Totally. Yeah, the whole thing we did tonight is double symbols. That the very thing that can bother me most is perhaps being sent to me in order to purify me, refine me, so that I can have a truthful. It can cut away and help me cut away what's stopping me from getting clear on what I need to do.
That Moshe gives is pretty much Chassidus versus Mussar, or just within Chassidus, Aseito versus Surah. You either break yourself down or you come closer to Hashem, and automatically through the desire to be closer to Him, you don't want to be involved with other stuff, or you focus on getting rid of the other stuff and make your way up. But
in both, there's both.
Right.
In both, there's both. In both Hasidus and in Mussar, there's sometimes a necessity to confront what's stopping me, and there's sometimes the necessity is to not even pay attention to it and to get into a state of positive relationship, either feeling Hashem's love or going into davening. Yeah, so we have all these ways in front of us. We have so many things going on. I just want to, I guess, a prayer. Prayer is certainly a part of all this. To make our prayers coming from a deeper place that, in a sense, Hashem cannot refuse but to answer them. In order for us to get connected to that deeper place, so that's what we're trying to do. And that we can then pray and know what to pray, Rabbi Nachman, the master of prayer, what to pray, how to be what's called tefillah shel habal din, tefillah of the master of judgment, to speak to Hashem in such a way, like the prophets did and the tzaddikim did, that he cannot do other than what's right. He has to do what's right. So learning how to pray is a totza'ah, is coming out as a result of getting more and more completely clear on who we are and what our mission is. And of course, we never want to tell Hashem what to do, but with humility, but still with the power of every fiber of our being, to pray that what's going on the planet now is not right. That we need tzaddikim of the caliber of Moshe and of David HaMelech and of Yosef HaTzaddik. And we need to, in the meantime, be, as much as we can, embodiments of their qualities and ask to become free of whatever is holding us back from being those great masters, because we are sparks of their souls. So, do you hear? Do you hear? Do we hear the message? We spoke 2 weeks ago and 3 weeks ago about the Shem Havaya, which is that when the Shem Havaya is mentioned only when it comes to man's soul being breathed into him by Hashem, whereas Hashem Elokim is Hashem is the laws of nature, is the logic of the way things work, and that by us it's always Hashem Elokim. It's always both. It's the spirit manifesting within the body, to the extent that the body that we thought was just a body is not a body. It's a vehicle for the soul, and that's where it comes to its maximum fulfillment, to become a Merkava. Bless us all that we have our feet on the ground, that our hands are doing good things, that our minds are clear, our hearts are straight, that our emunah, which is an or makif, that which is so important to us now to surround us. And or makif is tefillah, is emunah. It's when we walk down the street, we're protected because we're a woman is protected when she's in tefillah and she's in emunah. She's walking through a dangerous place. If a man is walking, and for any of us are walking in dangerous places, we can go into a deep state of emunah in Hashem. Any fears that you have walking down the street, whether it's in a dark alley or in some street at night or wherever you are, Rabbi Nachman says it's because you're being judged. So you immediately start judging yourself. You begin self-judgment, which is mitpalel, which is tefillah, which is, what is my life about, Hashem? Why am I here other than to serve you? So that's Gevura, is using the principles that have been given to us in order to direct our lives. And just one more thing, I think it was just last week or the week before in Ma'ale Adumim, that we were doing a meditation that it occurred to me in the middle of the meditation that I could turn on my rockets. Remember that, Chava? Tanya? That a spacecraft in orbit or wherever that wants to change its direction and get out of the free float or go out of orbit turns on its rockets. It's, in other words, taking control. I want to use my breathing. I started breathing very, very heavily, the hurricane breathing, right? In order to get connected again to the direction that I want to go with my meditation, and then I completely pulled back again and went into silence. So meditation is not some kind of a static thing where you do something and over again or whatever. You're there, it's you and God, right? It's what, as Rabbi Kaplan said, it's meditation for prophecy and nothing less, right? I don't want to just get nice and relaxed. That's very nice, but meditation for prophecy is I want to connect to you. I want my life to become meaningful in a way that I've never had it before. I need it now more than ever. Okay, so just thought I would share all those things with you. So we sing a song.
Sure.
I think Shlomo's on here at one point. I don't want to go looking for it, though. So
Just sing
let's
Shlomo.
sing.
You're talking about 4 notes? And I think that Shlomo really only needed 4 chords. And every one of his songs is on 4 chords. There's something in that. That's why it's so magical.
Yeah, you can boil them down very often too. It's very simple. It's very important that last week, maybe some people, I don't know, we didn't have enough money in here, but please have, open your hearts, open your hands.
That's the sign
Make
to
sure that you
everybody,
pay and you sign in.
Those people are coming. Do that.
Na 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 oh na 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 יהי רצון שהרצון שלנו יהיה מכוון לרצון שלך. יהי רצון. It doesn't say may it be your will or may it be according to your will. It's יהי רצון. May our will be in alignment with your will before you. So that means we have to learn. We have to learn how to do that, to align ourselves. Yeah. Okay.